Hi, this is Rick Romine from HowToWilderness. In this video, we're going to cover the Squall 2 tarp tent, which I just received. My son and I plan to use this tent on our PCT thru hike. So first thing I wanted to do was to weigh the tent as it arrived. It comes in at 2 pounds, 6.6 ounces. Now, one of the downsides of this particular tent is that the seams do not come sealed, so you have to seal those yourself. I did order from TarpTent the silicone, but I need to combine this with mineral spirits and apply it, and we'll cover that a little bit later. So if I go ahead and open up this tent, the design of this tent requires that you use one or two of your hiking poles, depending on the configuration. It does come with some tubing for the foot end, and it also comes with 4 stakes. So I'm going to go ahead and set this tent up, and then we'll go through the process of sealing the seams. Okay, the first part I assemble is the support for the footing. And you feed this right through here where the grommet is. Although it might not even look like you can get it in there. It looks like it's sewn shut, but it's actually not. You attach the ends of the poles to the grommets. I'm going to take one stake and I'm going to stake this out. You want this to be at about a 12-degree angle, somewhere around there. Now, instead of putting the stake through the hole, you actually loop the stake around the center line. So we set our pole to 115 centimeters. We find the center grommet. If you're doing one pole, you go on the center grommet. There's 2 grommets on each of the ends when you're using more than one pole. We'll see that. I'm gonna angle this perpendicular to the other one. Now the 2 other stakes in the front, they don't go perpendicular, they come out at an angle. And you may have to adjust these after you get them in. Make sure this is good and taut. Centered. It appears to be. You can tighten these. Now on these side ones, you want to tighten the top one before you tighten the bottom. You're going to make sure the outside gets good and secure. Both of these. After that's good and taut, then go ahead and cinch up. This takes the bathtub liner and gives it a nice dimension. So to make sure you're watertight, you want to make sure that the cover goes over the bathtub liner. And now if we want, we can switch to 2 poles. Okay, and this seems to be angled just a little bit, so I can go ahead and adjust it. Now, normally they recommend that you not have the beak on so that you get good ventilation. But if there is weather or wind that requires you to put the beak on, or to set up the beak, it's a little bit annoying that this is all done with Velcro. So getting a good seal on this takes a little bit of practice. So in order to seal the seams on the tent, you need to make a thin solution of the silicone mixed with some mineral spirits. and then you're going to apply that with a foam pad. So basically, we're going to take about a tablespoon or so of the silicone. Just squirt it in here. I don't know if you can see that in there. But we're going to take some mineral spirits and we'll pour that on it. And then we need to stir that up. The silicone does take a little bit to get it to dissolve, so you're going to have to stir it quite a bit. And the goal is to get it to a consistency sort of like olive oil. You can imagine that. Now while you're using it, it will thicken up, and so you may need to add a little bit of more mineral spirits to thin it if necessary. We also recommend that you put a stripe of this on the bottom of the tent to keep your pads from moving, and when you do that you probably want it in its thicker state. So maybe you do the seams first, and then as it thickens, then you can use this for the bottom of the tent. Go ahead and work the silicone solution into the seams of all the areas that are over your sleeping area. You want to apply pressure when you're doing this to work it in. Make sure it gets into the threads. And then with a rag, you can sort of remove any excess. And you just repeat this process on all the seams. So now once you're done with the outside, come to the inside, and if you paint stripes with the same silicone, it's a little bit thicker now. Just paint a nice few stripes on the silicone. Doesn't really add any weight, and it helps your pad from slipping. You want to make sure that the seam sealer has dried completely before you pack up the tent, otherwise you may end up having it stick together. Also, before you pack up the tent, you might want to check to make sure that there's no leaks. So set up the tent, run some sprinklers, run a hose on it, make sure that you've got a good seal on all of your seams before you get out there. I'll now show you how to quickly break down the tent. That's it. Thanks for watching.